the creative industry is big and is, apart from the revenue that is contributing to the GDP, it's also bringing a lot of positive spotlights on the nation. You go to anywhere in the world today, you hear Nigerian music being played. You're at the airport, you hear people saying Igwe or something the moment they recognize that you're Nigeria. So it's also opportunity to change the narrative about Nigeria.
Welcome to the Economy and Politics Conversation. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. This edition will be discussing repositioning Nigeria's film industry through strategic funding. My guest today is Mr. Ola Belgore. He's the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Utica Capital Limited. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Ottoabasi.
Congratulations. Recently, you just launched the Utica Capital Film Fund. We'll be looking at that. Well, first, let's begin by understanding the optics towards venture capital investments in Africa and Nigeria. Okay. What has it been like in 2025? Because there's been a lot of concerns. Stakeholders are saying we need to see more venture capital activities. So an enabling environment for that is critical.
The investment environment generally, I think, is improving. The government, we all know what has happened with government policies and all of that before now. Fortunately, situations are getting better. It seems like the guys at the deck now understand the need to attract investors, so they're putting the right structure in place. Of course, some of these things will take time for it to fully kick in. But of significant importance is what is going on at the CBN, with arrival of Mr. Cardoso. It's made it a lot easier and for investors to bring in their money because they know that there's there's opportunity to take out their money when they want. So unlike the case before now when they're afraid that they will be stranded, their funds will be stranded, and of course the volatility situation is also a key factor. The Naira has been stable for close to about 6 months now. So whether local investors or particularly foreign investors, when they bring their funds in, they know that it's a bit stable. And I was at an event where someone was saying it's almost like getting double-digit return on your dollar investment today, because if you bring in dollar, you convert to Naira, and you put it in a saving instrument as treasury bill, or you bring it to a firm like us, Utica Capital, and you're getting 15 to 20% return. Because of the stability of the currency, by the time you're converting it, it's almost like you're getting that kind of return on your dollar. So that has been of interest and is attracting foreign investors or specialized investors, venture capitalists, private equity firms, like what we have done.
Very interesting. And that brings us to the Utica Film Fund. The Nigerian film industry, also known as Nollywood, has been one of the poster boys of the country, exporting great movies as changed perceptions and narratives of Nigeria. But there's a funding gap, over 200 billion and all that. So speak to us specifically what inspired this Utica Film Fund and how it begins to keen to address those gaps and challenges in the film industry that has so much prospects.
Our vision at Utica, the key things is that we, from get-go, we decided that we're not just going to be like any other fund manager or asset manager. We want to be an impact investment firm. And how do you create impact? Take care of your environment, the people, and you make money in the process. So we looked at, this is not the only thing we're doing. We're an innovative company, so we've done another innovative fund before now. So in creating the second fund, we looked at our environment. There are a lot of opportunity. The creative industry is big and is, apart from the revenue that is contributing to the GDP, it's also bringing a lot of positive spotlights on the nation. You go to anywhere in the world today, you hear Nigerian music being played. You're at the airport, you hear people saying Igwe or something the moment they recognize that you're Nigeria. So it's also opportunity to change the narrative about Nigeria. So we looked at all of that and then, okay, what impact does this sector have? A lot of job opportunity. Um, so, but the creative industry is quite large. You're talking about film, you're talking about music, art, fashion, all sorts. So we know that it will be tough for one fund to cater for all of this. So what we've done is we've taken our niche from that broad sector and we're focusing on film, the film industry, with particularly focus on Nollywood. So now, for the film industry, what do we want to cover? There's film production itself, there is merchandising, there is licensing, there is scripting. You could find someone who um, has a good idea in converting script to movie, but he doesn't have the talent to generate the idea. So he wants to buy that talent of someone else and he's saying, give me X amount of money. He doesn't have that. What he knows how to do is to put the camera on and all that. So we bring these guys together by helping to finance that kind of project and all. And like you have said, there's about 200 to 300 billion naira gap, funding gap. um, you would so we're here to bridge part of that, and the 20 billion fund that we're doing is just about 10% of that. It's not much, but it's a start. The next fund manager is going to see what we're doing and be encouraged to do, and because about 95% of the financing of fund in the film industry in Nigeria today is by private individual savings. So you see a producer who wants to do a movie and is going to break his savings to do that, you know. Of course, that have effects even on the quality of what is churned out, because there are things you feel like it should enhance the movie, but he doesn't have enough money to do that. So he just do the bare minimum and all. So this is funding all that gap, making sure that there's more quality, better content, and for the industry. So providing structured financing helps the industry grow more. It will help employment. With some of these epic movies that you have seen now, you see thousands, hundreds of extras being used. Daily income here and there, 10, 20, 30,000, but it goes a long way, you know. So those are the impact we're looking at. And of course, like I said, you can't look at impact without looking at profitability. The investors are looking at, how do I make money in this? But investors are becoming savvy, they're becoming sophisticated. They're not looking at money only. What is my money doing to create the enabling environment, to create job opportunity, to improve the environment, you know? So those are all the things that we considered in putting up the fund, the Utica Film Fund.
Very interesting. And the optics look very okay this period in the country, where you now have this administration with the Ministry of Creative Economy. We've just seen the revitalization of the National Arts Theatre now for Sowole Soyinka Theatre. And there's even the Creative Economy Development Fund. It has done its first phase, second phase. With what you're doing, Utica Film Fund, is it showing that this is the right optics, that investors are saying that there's incentives to begin to invest in film and the entire creative economy landscape?
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, we're quite in support of what the Ministry of Art, Culture, and Creative Economy is doing. We think that you need to harness the talents. When you have a population like Nigeria, where about 50 to 60% of it are young people, you can't but put structure in place to channel that energy, creativity into good use. And we know we're a talented set of people. So the optics is good. You mentioned the National Theatre, which was uh, uh, revamped. Again, the private sector needs to play a part in all of this. You can't leave everything to government. You see that the renovation of the National Theatre was done by the Bankers Committee. So the optics is good. Private uh, businesses are coming in to play the role and help boost the economy in line with what the ministry or even the government is looking at.
Very interesting because that's National Theatre, which is now Professor Wole Soyinka Arts Theatre, the Bankers Committee. There's a strong nexus now between finance and arts, which is very interesting in Nigeria. Well, let's look at very interesting thing around the ecosystem of the film industry. How is the linkage? How's your team and those investment advisors working with this ecosystem? Because it is 2 days that you need to understand the pain points. Are you able to link up with them to identify those pain points that this funding would help to scale, quality, and competitiveness globally?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we have. We've had a lot of engagement. Like one of the issues, I think, said, this what we're seeing today is not didn't happen yesterday. We've been on this for like a year. So there's been a lot of engagement with stakeholders in the industry. And we know that part of the challenges they have is funding. Another is distribution. You know, how this work is done, how do we get it back and all of that. So we're working with them to see how the fund can help with those pain points that are identified. And that's why the fund, we're not looking at just production alone. We're looking at the full value chain of the film industry. So, and if you look at the asset allocation, you can see that we have something allocated to every aspect of the film industry. So we're able to deal with those things and grow the economy.
With this first ever Security Exchange Commission licensed fund, what is the optics in terms of getting more venture capital funds to invest in the growth of the creative economy? And we want to share in a few seconds your lessons getting this registered, because once it's registered, there's investor protection, there's value to it. Yeah.
We think that the for most innovators, the challenge will be, will they see the light of day? You know, when we first came up with the idea, of course, we had our very broad way of looking at it and what we thought we wanted to achieve. But we realized that because we're a market regulated entity, we need to speak to our regulator, let them see what we're looking at and whether he aligns with their view and all that. So I had an engagement with SEC, and it's a listening SEC, because what they did was when I sent him like a pitch, they got several heads of unit, compliance, regulation, investment management, and all of that. We all sat in one room. I made my presentation to them. We critique it. In fact, we more or less created what we call a think tank for the fund, which is quite impressive to have for such. I mean, that kind of really interaction within regulator and the regulated. You know. So, of course, they critique some of our opinion. We try to explain some things to them. They told us how to better structure it such that it can be regulated. And of course, their interest as the regulator is, how do we protect the investors? You know, so um, they told us the way to go about it that will meet the regulatory demand. And so we went back to our stakeholders, got better engagement, came back to sector. So we went back and forth until we had something that was good enough for them to approve. So, and I think that now that our Odoo has been scaled, it's a lot easier for the next fund manager. And what they need to do is go. SEC already has a template for verifying this kind of fund. So once you go, I'm sure that it will take them a lot quicker to review the next proposal, and then it's scaled. And even though the next person may not even be looking at fund, but for anything along that line, creative generally, the template is there now for the regulator to look at. So I commend the regulator, and I think that this will be a challenge and opportunity to my fellow fund managers to create their own and bridge the gap.
Very interesting and very commendable, Mr. Ola Belgore. I also hope and we're optimistic that this will also encourage other venture capital funds on the creative industry, and the likes of Mr. Richard Mofedamijo, RMD, and Momo Bully, who are in your advisory committee, would begin to see value to it. And maybe hopefully in the future, we may see some listed film industry firms on the capital markets.
Definitely, yeah. Who knows? That's actually an interesting thought. Yeah, maybe in the near future, because the world is more technology has changed a lot of narratives. You can digitalize your creation now. So tokenize them and get value and all that. And speaking about the people we're working with, the fantastic people, RMD, Femi Adebayo, Kachiofia of Arise, Omani Oboli, great guys, And of course, these are people that you would ordinarily think that their interest is giving money and all that. But some of them have gotten to that height in their profession that they just want to see that sector grow. They want to make impact. And I'll tell you what, I was speaking with RMD, and I like, look, do you have projects you want to bring onto the border? And he says, look, Ola, for credibility's sake, in the first year or so, don't let me bring any project, so that we're there creating the structure and all of that. So, and it's a bright future. A lot of people are interested. You can see some of the guys that are here to support the launch and all of that. There are a few who sent in apologies that they're running late, So
this is good.
Yeah,
this
thank
is
you
good.
so
This
much.
is positive. I mean, I'm a big fan of RMD, Omoni Oboli, and of course, their movies and all that. So we have a bright prospect for film industry and Nigeria's creative economy at large. Thank you once again for this time, Mr. Ola Belgore.
Thank you.
Managing Director, Utica Capital Limited, for this interesting conversation on repositioning Nigeria's film industry through very strategic financing. Thank you for this time.
Thank you for your time.
Looking forward to a great time. To our viewers, that will be all for this very interesting conversation on repositioning Nigeria's film industry through strategic funding. I'm a big fan of Nigeria's film industry, Nollywood, and I'm so happy to see that there are structured market vehicles like venture capital funds to achieve scale for this industry and begin to see more value placed. And I'm going to be tracking this whole development to see how Nollywood and every other part of the ecosystem of the creative industry begins to access more structured financing and funding that will make it globally competitive as it has positioned itself. Till we come your way again, log on to our website, displayed on the screen, and follow our social media platforms to engage further on our conversations. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.